folks, welcome to the channel. I'm Don, this is Rock of the Country, where we do non-pop country music reactions. And I've got an oldie. A lot of the songs I do here and reactions I do are from the traditional artists, the legit, back in the day country artists. And that's this one, Dick Curless's song, The Heartline Special. And as far as I know, I don't know this song. I didn't grow up on country, so if you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. I'm glad you're here. But my background was in rock, and I came to country much later in life. And when I started the channel, I was taking care of my mother down in Florida and had time on my hands. And I said, you know what, why don't I just start a reaction channel? And I was doing, Dirk Bentley, Easton Corbin, Miranda, and artists that I still like very much. But when people saw how I like the lyrics, they were like, Don, you got to check out this artist, Hank Sr., Hank Jr., all this, and, Willie, and then John Prine, and independent artists in this. And I'm like, oh my God, this is my home. So that's where we are. And this was a gift from Dan Sigurdson, who's up there in Canada. The hat is courtesy of Terry Wood, who's in Alberta. Dan is in British Columbia. Canada is a very, very large country. Not population-wise, but landmass-wise. In any case, thank you for the gift, Dan. Let's see what Dick Curless has for us here. The Heartline Special.
I once knew a preacher who was tall, quiet, and lean. And on his hip he wore a gun like none I'd ever seen.
Shades of Marty
When
Robbins.
Challenged by a fast gun, he would beg him not to draw. Then the gun would leap into his hand and fire before he saw. The Heartline Special ran true to its name. The bullet was pushed forward by an orange streak of flame. And just before the death, each man would get his just reward. And to this day, I think it was the right hand of the Lord.
All right.
His reputation spread around like the charge of a brigade, and it fell upon the ears of the artists of the trade. And fast gunslingers rode for miles and came in by the score. They were there to try to be the man that killed the man that wore.
Why, though? It's a dumb goal.
The Heartline Special ran true to its name. The bullet was pushed forward by an orange streak of flame. And just before the death, each man would get his just reward. And to this day, I think it was the right hand of the Lord. At night, down on his bended knees, with tears upon his face, he'd beg the Lord to send another man to take his place. When challenged by a gunman, his Bible he would kiss, and it seemed to guide the hand that held the gun that never missed.
All right, but we didn't find out anything about the people that were challenging him. Like, they weren't necessarily bad dudes, but some things are prima facie bad. Like, challenging somebody to a gunfight just because you heard the other guy is good. So maybe that is the story, the whole story that we need to know about these folks that he's killing, but guided by the hand of the Lord. Like, people like justice, but we're kind of bloodthirsty too. So were we to assume just that these are really bad people that he's taken out and sort of be happy that, like, they met their maker, if you will? I'm not sure, but we haven't heard that they're necessarily bad people other than the fact that they're challenging a preacher or the preacher.
The Heartline Special ran true to its name. The bullet was pushed forward by an orange streak of flame. And just before the death, each man would get his just reward. And to this day, I think it was the right hand of the Lord. And to this day I think it was the right hand of the Lord.
Yeah, that storyline is Marty Robbins-esque. But yeah, I mean, his voice, he liked to go deep with it. And obviously, but there was some interesting instrumentation in here. There was like a tingling type thing going on. I don't know what that instrument was. The bass line was popping right along, and that was prominently featured in the song. And then just the storyline, but Heartline. I mean, the bullet made a beeline for the other person's heart, and then he dropped him. But just before the man's death, he got his just reward. Is that just reward the fact that they got to see that they lost? Because they came from all around to test their luck. I don't know why you would do that. I mean, it's not like the NBA where, Michael Jordan. I mean, this preacher was evidently the Michael Jordan or Larry Bird or Magic Johnson of their time or LeBron James of ours. And they wanted to test it, but it's not basketball. I mean, it's your life. But I guess times are different too. And lifespans were shorter back then because penicillin hadn't been invented. So, I mean, the average worldwide age was about 30 in industrialized nations back prior to the invention of penicillin. And then that basically doubled it within a generation because you no longer would die from a tooth infection or a foot infection or any other type of infection. The penicillin would stop it. But values were different. We call it the Wild West. I mean, there were rules in place and such. Most people just didn't go out wantonly shooting their guns at people because there was a price to pay. People, societies, cultures all have prices to pay for misbehaving individuals. Dan, very interesting choice. All right, I'm going to rate this one. And the number that popped into my head was an 8.6. It was an interesting song. The title was probably the most intriguing part of it, the Heartline Special. And it's just where the bullet makes a straight line for the heart. That's it. And you call it the special. I don't know. So, I don't know. All right, yeah, it reminds me of a train. You take the special and it takes you from New York to DC or something like that, which would be in some cases unspecial. Although the museums in DC are very cool. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that. Dano, I hope you're recovering, my friend. Have a great day. I'll see you on another video. Keep rocking the country.